Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Monday morning and it's Elizabeth Elenor with Pause. We're on Women of Light Facebook group, the movement. We're in the process of creating a movement with the women, and I'm just going to check, make sure that I'm on. I am. How has everyone's week been? How has everyone's weekend been? As you can see, I've only just got myself ready for the day. It's been a big weekend and a time of actually just relaxing yesterday and doing absolutely nothing, because I have been doing so much on the weekends lately that that yesterday was a day of doing absolutely nothing and not talking or anything, and so somehow that's made me even harder to get up this morning. So I hope you had a great weekend, and today I wanted to talk about the throat chakra and about expression, because we can have as women, we can have a lot of unexpressed energy in our throat chakra that can cause us not to be living our true nature and purpose, and to be submissive to not only other people and be the people pleaser and, you know, the good girl and all those sort of things, but also to our very nature, to our thoughts, to our belief systems, to all of the, good morning Mel, to all of these passions and desires and belief, you know, dreams within us that we are hiding away from ourselves and from our family and our friends, and we might not even know, because they've been so suppressed that they don't actually get, you know, like they've been hidden from our very inner world. And we know that there's something going on, but we can't work out what it is. And so when I was a lot younger, as with a lot of women, the very nature of being able to share what I was thinking or what I wanted to say, or feeling like expressing my boundaries, that this is who I am and this is how I'm going to live, and you know, you need to be part of that process without you know, taking advantage of me, was definitely not something that I was taught or that I knew how to do. And so I actually spent a lot of time suppressing myself. I was unable to talk a lot of the time. In fact, when there was a conflict in the house, I was put into my room. So I was taught as a behavioural pattern that conflict was bad, and that I was to hide from it and not be able to express. How many of you have had a similar thing where you feel like your very nature was conditioned to suppress anything that you had to say, or what your interests were, or your boundaries were? There was no education on how to connect with yourself and therefore the world, right? That inner goddess, you know, the beautiful mother. Hey Susan, lovely to have you here. You know, the warrior that's within us, the lover, you know, the strong, empowered woman. Our throat chakra is a masculine chakra. Each chakra has its own is it masculine or feminine, and they go in sequence. So the heart chakra is a feminine, has feminine energy, and the throat is there to express, to put out, like it's got a strength to it when it's healthy and it's balanced and it's in its vibrancy. But when it's not, it can cause a lot of imbalances in the body and emotional eating. I know when I couldn't talk, I literally couldn't eat either because my throat would restrict, and so therefore I couldn't even have food in my mouth, which causes all sorts of challenges within the body. And so the more you recognize what your truth is, the more you are able to understand yourself first and foremost, understand what your boundaries are, and then it takes a little while for that to, because then there's all these fears of rejection, neglect. We are conditioned from our childhood and from generations past of what is appropriate and how we're going to survive. And so if you have been discouraged to express your truth or to even communicate in a healthy way, to share your interests or your thoughts or anything like that, if you've been so you get pain in the belly, yeah, Susan, yeah, absolutely. It's it can become a physical thing, right? And manifest in all sorts of different areas of your body. And so when you are not given that opportunity, you actually don't even know what's going on for yourself. You have no ability to what's good for me and what's not good for me, and what do I like and what don't I like, because we're actually conditioned to experience and influence outside of ourselves. So we learn, so there's a learned behavior that someone's looking after us and that they've got our best interests at heart, whether that's comfortable for us or not. And so we start suppressing, well, actually I don't know if I want a chocolate or a vanilla ice cream, or what I want for dinner, and what I want to wear, or any of those little tiny questions that we even ask ourselves. We can find ourselves asking externally. Do I look good in this? How often do you hear women asking, do I look good in these clothes before you go out? Instead of having that self-reflection and that opportunity to self-regulate and self-assess. So now I'll bring that into the career, the business, the being out there networking in the community, or just getting what it is that you want. And these things can hold you back in so many different areas. So it's really about, and this is what I talk about in the Lioness, Awaken the Lioness, is finding that strength and power and moving out of feeling powerless or having to power over to get what you want and manipulate, which is another thing that a lot of women have been conditioned to do unconsciously, right? I can't get what I want here, so I'm going to get it in a different way, this way. And so they play the victim and they get energy from that, or they manipulate in some way to get what they want, and they play power games with other people to get what they want, instead of being able to just fully express themselves. There's this second alternative or a different method of being that actually isn't who they are, right? But it's a condition that they've created. Now put that into the career, the business, and you're not in integrity. You're not in integrity if you're not standing strong in who you are and saying, this is what I've got to offer the world, this is how I'm presenting myself, this is what I'm here to serve with. And through this self-expression, that magnetism that happens where people come to you, I want what she's got, or I can see the service that she's got to offer, and because of her ability to be herself, I'm drawn to that, right? People are drawn to that like a magnet. But vibrationally, when there's things going on in the energetic field where there's disruptions, there's self-flagellation, there's self-criticism, the confidence is gone, self-rejection, all of these things are actually vibrating within the energy field, and so therefore those vibrations are going out into the world, and unbeknown to you and unbeknown to your clients or whatever it might be, you are they're vibrating at a different frequency, and they're wanting to trust you, but they don't feel safe around you because you don't feel safe within your own energy field. So unconsciously, you're pushing away the very thing that you're wanting to create, to serve people, to get that next promotion, to to strive in a particular career or business. These things that you want to create in your world then become, like you're going, why is that? Why is it not actually coming to fruition for me? And it's because there's this vibration of not being able to trust your internal world and work out why it is that you can't express yourself. Because when you are living in your own integrity, and that integrity is a really interesting word, because integrity is all about honesty, but not honesty necessarily with your external world, but honesty within your internal world. Who am I in here? What is it that I actually want? Am I being truthful with myself when I say yes to something because it's easier? I don't have to justify myself. I'm not going to cause any problems. It's a really interesting concept, right? We have been conditioned, and not by anyone in particular, and society, like there's no conspiracy theories here or anything like that. It's just part of the system and how it's evolved. We have been conditioned to be suppressed and not to know who we are. We're influenced outside of ourselves continuously inside, by advertising and by the government and all of these things that are outside of ourselves, the latest plague or the latest virus or the latest whatever it might be, and it triggers things from our past of not feeling safe. And so we've not even been given the correct instructions on how to do that, because what then happens is this pendulum swings back and people go into that. They think, what I've seen is people go into the rage and the hypocrisy of things, and the victimization and the anger and the frustration, and so they lash out and they lash out thinking that that's the alternative to being suppressed. But actually it's swung the other way, right? It's still on this pendulum of good or bad or hot and cold, all this duality. It's being able to rise to the actual fulcrum, and if I had my pendulum here I'd be able to show you. But to be able to rise to the fulcrum, to the very top, and not go through that swing, and to really tune in. Who is it? Who is it inside of me? What is it that I want to express? And sometimes it's layers. Sometimes it's layers. And you know, it's coming to Valentine's Day very shortly. In fact, I think it's tomorrow. And I've got to add, what about your self-expression, your purpose, your commitment to yourself in relationship to your special partner, if you have one, relationship to friends and family, relationship to others out there in the world. How do you navigate being in a shopping centre and you're in line and someone pushes in or whatever? Someone somehow belittles you in some way. How do you deal with dating apps? For example, if you're looking for someone, how do you express yourself when you're first meeting someone? Our throat chakra is where we express our purpose. And so when you peel off the layers and you work with the other chakras, right? You take the emotions from the sacral and you look at the processes in there, the clearing, you know, the pains and the wounds of not being able to create in a balanced way. When you stand strong in your empowerment from your from your solar plexus, and your, you know, have a strong auric field. When you live from your heart, that's when you're going to be able to express. When you're grounded in your root chakra, and you can retain all the information. You can access your memories, your insights from your higher self, from your crown. When you get the insights from your third eye. When you're in alignment, that's when your throat chakra can really express who you are, and you can do it with firm, gentle authority. You don't have to overpower anyone. You don't have to be in rage. You don't have to be, and I'm not saying that these things, you know, sometimes anger has a place. Sometimes force is required. But it's knowing when all of these are in balance, when all of your chakras are connected and in balance, there's an intuitive knowing of when that force needs to come out and be reckoned with, and when to be in an authoritative state of just strong, empowered, balanced, and speaking your truth with the wisdom and the strength of all of you being grounded and in your sovereignty. When you're in that much alignment, and I'd love to hear in the comments if you've ever experienced that, or if you would like to experience that, is a really beautiful place to be, because you can be in this beautiful space where you're loving, you're supportive, you've got a really big heart chakra, you're there to serve and to give and to receive. You've got all of this beautiful stuff, and you're a power force to be reckoned with. People don't want to muck with you, right? Because they know you know yourself. You exude authority. And that's when people come to you and say, I want to give you a promotion. That's when people come to you and say, I want to learn more about you. That's when men turn around at the beach and say, who is that woman? I want to get to know her more. Which is what happened to me with my beautiful man, right? When you're really strong and empowered and you know yourself, you are a magnetic force for good. Things that are in disharmony, things that can be of a negative vibration, things that are out of alignment with who you are, generally fall away and maybe on the periphery of who you are, and you don't actually even get to see it. And that doesn't mean that things don't go, things, we live here in a third dimensional world that's in, third and fourth dimensional world that has chaos in it. And we learn from that contrast. So, it doesn't mean that your world is perfect and that nothing goes wrong, because we'd still be in dysfunction if that was the case. We learn through those contrasts. We learn when there's things that pop up, and they give us the opportunity to step in and go, who am I in this situation now? What is my choice? Who am I going to become, or who am I that needs to emerge? What is my authority in this? And what are, where is this going to go? What are the threads and the tendrils that are popping up for me that need to be addressed within me? What am I processing before I make that self-expression, before I make that decision and say, yes, this is who I am, this is my authority, these are my boundaries, and this is the conditions that I'm living in? How does that feel for you? When you're in that balance, that happens because you've had some sort of conflict or contrast happen. And you know yourself even more when something comes up and you can go, okay, I'm going to step back for a minute, because as I step back, I'm going to process, this just happened to me, and now I need to process, how do I feel about myself in this? How do I feel about others? What's my next obvious step? Where am I taking action? What am I doing to stay in my own sovereignty, to feel aligned, to feel like I'm still being my authentic self? And you stand with conviction on whatever that choice is, and you speak it clearly, articulately, with grace, with authority, with strength and power. That's when the lioness comes out. Has anyone ever seen a lioness walking? I'm sure you have. Her very walk is, don't F with me, right? She knows herself. She knows her role. She knows her authority. We are natural beings. We are very, we're carbon-based beings like every other animal on the planet. We've just got a different consciousness. That's where we're heading, ladies. That is a woman of light. A woman of light who really knows herself and understands where she's coming from, who she is. And when something happens that's outside of that, she has that opportunity to pause, to reflect, to learn about herself more, to self-assess and regulate. And through that process, and however long that takes her, because she feels comfortable saying, I'm going to get back to you about that, I need to think about it. That's a really good question. I just want to think about it for a minute and I'll get back to you. That authority of just feeling comfortable and confident enough to actually even say that, a lot of women don't. Being able to say that, really reevaluate who she is, and then come with understanding the co-creative experience of whatever it might be, right? If it is a co-creative experience, which most things are, having that opportunity to reassess and evaluate everyone's, we're nurturers, right? We are natural nurturers. So of course we're going to think about other people's feelings and, how what we think and how we respond and how we express and how we act is going to affect those around us, because that's who we naturally are. And especially as a woman of light, you want that to, you want that light to shine and radiate, but not to smack people in the face, right? And so when you're in that place, that beautiful place where you're really expressing yourself or understanding yourself, you've come to process all of the different ways that people can respond. But when you're really stepping into who you are, you can say that with such authority and grace that it gives people the opportunity to understand who they are in the process. Marianne Williamson's got this beautiful quote that I often share, and that's, that it's not our darkness, but it's our light that we're most afraid of. And one of the things she says in that quote is, as we shine our own light, we give permission to others to do the same. And when you are really deeply in your authentic sovereign self, people trust you. They feel comfortable and safe around you. And in that process, they then feel comfortable and safe to be who they are. They trust that they can be themselves around you. And it's a really, really beautiful place to be. And this is where we're heading more and more. So ladies, if this is something that you're still working on, please let us know in the comments. I would love to know where you're at in that process. It's Valentine's Day tomorrow, and you're just about to see some posts come up for us. We're actually going to do a webinar at the end of the month, and I can't remember when it is. I think it might be the 28th or something like that. We're going to do a webinar, and hopefully someone's on, so they're going to be able to tell me. We have Rewire Your Heart for Love webinar coming up. So if you're interested and would love to join that, then just put yes please in the comments, and we will send you the link so that you can be part of that. I think it's going to be about an hour and a half webinar, and all about how to really stand in this sovereignty and draw in, and open your heart for love and draw in that beautiful partner if you haven't got one, or keep the one that you've got if you have. Take care, ladies. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you soon.